Cerberus hit the shuttle. Everybody back to the elevator. Shepard, what's happening here?
We don't have time to negotiate. You've been fooled, all of you. We've mistrusted Shepard before, and it did not help us.
I'm gonna regret this.
No, you're not.
Gun!
Sorry, Counselor, I'll say it plain. Shepard just saved the lot of you.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another round of Arbitration Studios as we continue our journey across the whole damn thing of the Mass Effect trilogy and Mass Effect 3. I'm JP Arbiter.
And I'm Captain Jack.
And in the aftermath of the Citadel coup, I got a little private email. Words are hard though, so I'm not going to bother to read it. The only thing that you need to know is that Aria T'lok asked us to meet her. And instead we get this guy. Now, for the record, we shit on Batarians a lot because...
A lot.
But I actually kind of like Bray.
I like Bray, and I see Bray as an example of what Batarians could be if they choose to be, instead of being mindless slavers. But slavers get got. So there you go. I will drop an asteroid on your relay. I don't care. Don't care.
I have seen all sorts of arguments as to where you should do this story, the Omega DLC, because you can get it pretty much immediately after you rescue Bakara, I think.
I believe so, yeah.
But before the Tuchanka mission, and so for me, because we're already on the Citadel, this makes the most sense to do it. There's also the Leviathan DLC, and we'll come to it later. I actually have a fairly unique take on that one. But we'll talk about that again when the time comes. So this is a good setup, almost, I think, for a movie instead of gameplay, though, because it's it's very much Rambo 3. Kind of thing where it's you know who Shepard is, you know who Aria is. There's a thing. Let's get the setup out of the way and let's effing go.
Yeah, no, it's it is.
You're winging it. Not at all.
It's a simple.
There are secrets on Omega.
There's not a whole lot of complexity.
Yeah.
To it.
Petrovsky's invasion.
As opposed to the Leviathan DLC, which has a lot of complexity.
Well, that is a Leviathan is a little bit like film noir and a little bit monster movie and a little bit
it's
mystery.
Yeah, it's a lot of different things. Whereas this is just a straightforward let's kill people.
This man took all that away.
So we're given this data slate of Oleg Petrovsky, who is a entirely new character. He came from one of the Mass Effect 3 preamble comics that was released. So no mention of him in 2 or anything. Makes sense that he would exist. You know, the Elusive Man has more assets than Shepard in Mass Effect 2. I like the fact that he looks like a bad guy, but he doesn't look like a villain.
Yeah, his is a I'm the bad guy because of whose side I'm on, not necessarily I'm a bad guy.
Another way to put it is, he doesn't see himself as evil,
right?
And his actions are also not inherently evil.
No.
Because taking Omega was a strategic asset. We will find out later why. And the whole... Because not only was it the gateway to the Collector base, of which the Elusive Man pillaged the remnants of it, despite the fact that we blew it the F up. But also, there's a whole... Omega apparently is a rich Ezo mine.
And so there is an argument to be made here with this. There's an argument to be made that, both people you're dealing with are evil.
Oh, yeah.
And one person is chaotic evil,
How things
And the other person is lawful evil.
And the other person is lawful evil. And out of the two, generally speaking, if you are a good person, you want to be dealing with the lawful evil, not the chaotic evil.
Because you can at least bring the lawful evil around. But the thing is that I would argue that they're not lawful and chaotic, definitely. I have a little problem with them being considered evil. Definitely renegade, to use the Mass Effect comparison.
Oh, yeah.
I do like the idea. So, do you think Cerberus was... I mean, they obviously built the Normandy. But do you think that they built their own cruisers and frigates aside from the Normandy, or do you think they were, like, ransacking ship-breaking facilities and refitting?
Yes. I think the answer to that question is yes. I think it's a little bit of both. I think they build where they can, where they can, they take, because it's cheaper. Mm-hmm. But they also make their own. Now, on to... So, she's clearly a narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Aria is clearly 100% a narcissist. Like, no questions there. She would kill every single person on Omega if it meant putting her back in charge.
As close as you can.
And laugh on top of the pile of skulls.
Mm-hmm.
Fire!
That being said, I'm not entirely certain the general that stole it from her is a narcissist.
No, it's worse. I think
he's a true believer.
I don't even think it's a case of he's a true believer. I think he's the kind of person who the Systems Alliance was passed him over.
Oh, yeah. No, I see where you're going with that.
Probably because of some questionable calls that turned out the right way, but also created a lot of bad press. Petrovsky's in that generation that fought in the First Contact War.
My partner here doesn't have much to say
After
for
all,
you.
so there's some, maybe there were a couple of Turians captured that got busted up, and in a way that even human beings in a First Contact situation would not have appreciated.
I think you may be right. I think a lot of what he has going for him is speciesism, is speciesist. I think he wants... I'm not sure if he wants all species other than humans eradicated. I'm not sure if he...
But he definitely wants humanity on top and in control.
Like, I'm not sure if he has the whole 40K vibe going on. But humanity and 40K. But I feel like there's definitely a aliens are lesser kind of.
We're ramming the station. Everyone brace for impact.
Well, he watched Star Trek and got the wrong message, because in Star Trek, humanity is definitely in the driver's seat of civilized galactic affairs. It's essentially split three ways between human beings, Klingons, and Romulans. With the Cardassians kind of as they were isolationists until they weren't.
Right.
Being upstarts, but those were the three powers for generations.
Yeah.
And so, like, he watched Star Trek, he saw humans in charge and thought, oh, humans are dictating terms to the aliens, rather than seeing the Federation as one, a collaborative affair, and two, not the only power in the galaxy.
And also, I think that he is one of those people, but I think he is one of those people who believes that aliens should think the same way he does. Like, he believes that everybody should think of themselves as superior and work for their own best interest.
I mean, everyone should work for their own best interest, but you also have to acknowledge that sometimes the best interest is being collaborative, not transactional.
No, I totally agree with that. I think, like, me personally, I agree with that.
But
him as a character, he doesn't think there's anything wrong with his mindset of humanity first, because he sees, like, every other race as being Asari first.
Turian first.
Turian first, yeah.
And here's the other thing, and I think this is what makes Petrovsky so compelling, even though we're stuck filling in a lot of gaps, because he doesn't have much screen time.
No.
And that is the fact that he doesn't approach things out of malice or vice. He doesn't hate.
He's a professional.
Yeah.
Which makes him probably the most dangerous, is because he is a professional. And
Wait,
Aria isn't.
Got it.
yeah, I mean, but here's the thing about Aria. Right here, we're on the ground. It's a ground game now. You're in charge, Shepard. Aria is the kind of person who knows her strengths and her weaknesses. She can rally the entirety of this station under her banner.
Yeah.
And she can fight with the best of them. But is she a good squad leader? Is she even a good strategist? No, she's a politician who happens to be able to bust some faces.
She may be good, but she knows enough to know that Shepard is the best.
She can lead a nation, and make no mistake, it may be anarchy, but Omega is a nation. But she can't lead a fire team.
Well, she's the governor of Singapore in the 1800s, essentially.
Effectively, yeah.
And which means that she had to be a little bit dirty. She had to be a little bit, or a lot bit dirty. She had to be, all of these different things. And she's a flaming narcissist. Kind of more the likable narcissism than some other narcissists that we all have been exposed to lately, publicly, ad nauseum. But in the case of her, she's still, like, all of this, every life lost, everything is perfectly acceptable as long as she gets what she wants.
I would like to point something out. I would love nothing more than to claim that the reason why I'm operating with just the Talon pistol was intentional storytelling.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. I fucked up when I was hearing myself out, hit a button wrong.
Oh, I mean, that happens. And by the way, I've done that. I'm pretty sure everybody that's played this game has done that. I feel like it's a common, thing that happens when you do this game. But I also...
Storytelling-wise, though, it makes sense because we had to make a fast exit from that cruiser, probably just grab the first gun we saw.
Yep. And not only that, I think it...
Or at least that's what I keep telling myself.
It adds a degree of difficulty to the game, a degree of interestingness to the game. We were walking through the hangar and we saw some snub fighters. They have some pretty cool looking snub fighters. Even if snub fighters in space are stupid, they're still cool looking.
Rally them to you, then head for the rendezvous hangar.
Yeah.
Start prepping for our ships to land.
Some of the scientific principles about ship-to-ship combat in space are really weird and really, precise. I know that you're a, not Discworld, what is it, where just missiles full of sand, essentially.
Oh, that was from the Star Carrier series.
And, that works, but the other thing is that those missiles have to be carried really close to their target.
Well, yeah.
And so can be intercepted. Being a fan of both Star Wars and the Battletech IPs, one of the big consistent themes around both of them is that capital ship weapons are great for taking out other ships. They suck when it comes to taking out a craft that could fit in the room that we are sitting in right now.
Yeah.
Like an A-wing could.
Right. That's why flak cannons are a thing and defensive cannons. But anyway,
but the point is that how much with capital ships, how much energy are you and volume are you dedicating to those defensive batteries, and what's there's the cost-benefit analysis of everything. Now, I would argue to my dying breath that snub fighters in space are not inherently dumb, like you say, but man, starfighters in space are inherently dumb. Drone better.
Well, I mean, as we are seeing in the world today, drone better. Drone trumps pretty much everything.
And we actually have an example of how a drone fighter should work in the Oculus drones that Reapers deploy. You deploy what's essentially a big metal ball with full 360 by 360 by 360 thrust engines and the same firing arc with even a single laser weapon. You've got yourself a potent interceptor.
Oh no, no! When you switched it to drones, it does get a little bit more, a little less stupid, I should say. Because when you're figuring out if an idea is stupid, you add up all of the things about the idea, and if the stupid part of it outweighs the smart part of it, then it's a stupid idea.
Because if it's stupid but works, it ain't stupid.
Exactly. However, I would like to say that one of the things I really, in my heart, enjoy about the advancements in the Mass Effect games is the ragdoll physics of when you shoot somebody. How they just get better and better and more and more enjoyable to watch. And how sometimes if you really pay attention, and a lot of people don't, but if you really pay attention, they act differently depending upon where on their body they get shot. And I like that attention to detail.
That's one of the things I really love about the modern Doom games, which you would never be able to play, and I don't think you could even watch with your motion sickness thing.
Honestly,
which is a shame because in terms of like horror storytelling, I think you'd love it.
I've watched the cutscenes, because I can watch the cutscenes. I'm like, this looks amazing. This looks really good.
Apparently, Doom: The Dark Ages, they slow the game way down, which might be a little bit more suitable for you. We'll see when it comes out, and by the time this is released, still been out for. Gotta shoot the camera. There's no reason to do it, but you gotta do it.
Absolutely.
So back to Mass Effect.
There's our boy.
There's a lot you can tell about this guy. He's wearing his uniform. He keeps it impeccably clean, which again speaks to that professionalism. There's he doesn't address people in his bathrobe
And he has an immaculately maintained
goatee.
Stay sharp.
And the ultimate sign of an intelligent villain. Well, there are two signs of ultimate signs of an intelligent villain. One is they play chess. The other is they have a vaguely British accent, but which he does not have. So, that's
sometimes it's not all that vague. Say what you will, Ian McDiarmid owned Palpatine.
Oh no, that's.
I mean, he owned it in the original trilogy when it was the fully realized Palpatine.
He owned it every time he did it. Regardless, I'm not a new trilogy or prequel trilogy, whatever you want. I'm not a hater for those. I think those all are wonderful as long as you sit down and watch them as an individual.
I'm a Star Wars slut. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, we're aware of that, which is fine, which is not a bad thing. I wish they would hurry up and get that Knights of the Old Republic remake done.
That's never going to happen.
I know, but I can dream.
Look, I've been waiting 30 years now for Knights of the Old Republic 2 to come out of beta.
No, fair enough. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. I do think that Mass Effect 5 is going to come out before we get
shit. Boom.
Before we get Knights of the Old Republic 2 out of beta.
Or the Knights of the Old Republic remake.
Or the Knights of the Old Republic remake.
Yeah.
That's true. So you have this is it's not quite on a rail, but it's pretty close to being on a rail shooter at this point.
Pretty much. I mean, you have a defined destination, and you've got a lot of bad guys in the way. Mm-hmm. There are a couple of curveballs that get thrown at you, and I'm just lost at this point.
Yeah, It happens.
But and we'll talk about those curveballs as they pop up in the form of 2 new enemies. One which I wish was thrown into the main game, and that's the Rampart mechs, which we will see in this video.
Yeah. I like it.
Just as something, the Rampart mechs succeed where the Phantoms fail, and I'm not just talking about the fact that they use Omni Blades. They succeed in that they
I know.
everything that
Looks like a gang tag.
Cerberus does,
The
they
Talon.
fight in a
They
manner
used it to
that is
face
supposed
my
to
property,
keep
too.
you moving and try to get you to move where they want you to go.
Right.
The Phantoms fail at that. Part of that is that, to be 100% blunt, when you see a Phantom, you just say, it's Geek the Mage.
Talon
It's
symbol again.
you shoot it until it dies first, because
be
everything
evidence of
else can
resistance.
be managed because
Might
they
be
go to
useful.
cover. The Phantom is the only thing that intentionally fights out of cover.
Right.
The Rampart mech, however, while it fights out of cover because it is a inherently disposable
One of my
unit,
soldiers by the
the little force field thing that it has when you kill it also creates an area denial effect.
Indeed.
And if they deployed these things even more en masse, that could be really, really, really limiting. Especially for, Vanguard players and whatnot. But I digress there. So, I also... think...
And that's, Vorcha, they're hard to kill.
Well, not anymore. Just haven't touched the
come
red
out.
force field.
Indeed.
Apparently that's collector technology, although they really don't elaborate on that.
No.
You got blowed up.
I do believe that there is a very strong evidence to support the idea that getting blown up works for killing
Yeah,
pretty much everything. And if the first blow up doesn't work,
keep doing it.
you keep hitting it with more and bigger.
There's in the video game series Borderlands, there's
Need to check out that
the whole shtick behind Borderlands is that there are different gun manufacturers and each have their own
Something tells me these
special
force fields are gonna be a
traits to
problem.
them. And
blocked?
the thing with
Not this time.
there's
Come
a
here.
company called Torg,
Yep.
and their whole shtick is that
way.
all of their weapons fire explosive ammunition. Because the guy who founded Torg was enamored with explosions since he was a child.
Yeah, no.
are you
I
doing?
mean,
Letting you in on a secret.
see, my whole thing when I'm watching, let's say I'm watching a movie, right? And the American military is fighting some kind of alien or robot or whatever it is. And they fire the biggest gun that they currently have at it, and it does nothing. And then they're like, it's invincible. Bro, you don't declare that. You just keep hitting it with things until you find the thing that works. And we have a lot.
Call in a J-Dam. Send in the helicopters.
Show
JDAM, heat rounds, whatever. You just keep hitting it
who's
until
back.
something works.
Aria.
And eventually something will work.
Oh, hey, new character drop. Nyreen Kandros.
Nyreen.
Notable not only because Aria T'lok is now going to play with
Playing
her
cat and mouse,
ex-girlfriend,
Misery.
Indeed.
Just
but
trying to stay alive.
this is the first time we
Wasn't for
see
these
a
tunnels.
Lady
My
Turian
Yeah.
I'm sure
uh,
Chloe showed
a-
them to you.
in the franchise.
If
All
you
the other
hadn't,
Turians we had
you'd be
were
dead
men
or
to the
locked
point
up
where
by now.
I legitimately thought they were. I didn't think they were monogendered, but I thought for the longest time that they had no sexual
Aria doesn't trust
dimorphism.
easily.
Yes, that's where I was thinking it, that they had no
know.
sexual dimorphism.
Are we?
Dimorphism. Yeah, what you say?
This is not
Um,
gross ex
They know had boobs.
Yes, they know had boobs.
I've got a lot of questions, but they'll
which
have to wait.
which kind of
Follow
led
us,
me
we'll get
to
you safe.
believe that they were
I'll do my best.
like
Need to put that
an
gun to
amphibious
good use.
species of some sort.
You have no
They're
idea
definitely
how
reptile
ready.
birds.
But once you see and of course we see female
So why are
Turians
you
going
back,
forward from
Aria?
here a few times,
to reclaim
and
its mind.
you kind of go,
something
oh no,
behind
they
it, I
definitely have.
Not something.
They definitely have
Everything.
differences between the two of them.
Yep. So, Again, you'll notice that we have a Matic on our back. Role-playing wise, just think that Nyreen
Right
tossed
away.
us a gun, thinking you're under-equipped, son.
You know, I do love a Matic.
So, it's honestly the best gun. One thing that I love about Andromeda is that,
What's the fleet status?
since I recently played through that just so I could, like,
Yeah.
take notes on how we're going to film that. more than
Yeah,
anything else.
that one's going to be a little harder. I
But,
think it's a little less straightforward.
But I crafted a Matic and then I put an automatic firing mechanism on it.
Yeah.
It is satisfying for it to go thunk, 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 thunk.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know if you ever, like, during training or whatnot, fired off a Kalashnikov.
I
Ever.
have.
So, there is something I actually prefer,
Great.
I actually
Why aren't the
prefer
cannons online?
rifles like the G3.
Yeah.
But there is
We'll flank the
something
enemy.
special
Get them off.
about the way that a Kalashnikov style rifle fires. That thunk, 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 thunk.
No, that's firearms are there's a real art to firearms, I think, and there's a real like it's personal preference, really.
There-
And I wish that more people would like learn about them and learn to use them properly and learn to respect them and learn, other than just picking up, I got me a Glock, that can. Not that I'm not like saying that to like disparage the Glock or anything. I'm just saying that
We'll find
the name Glock is like usually maybe Smith and Wesson, usually the only name that people know for firearms.
Yeah.
Now we have again some real straightforward stuff, but honestly solid. Like solid fights, solid
Get over here.
I love a good get over here.
Why Scorpion was the best Mortal Kombat character.
Unquestionably, he was the best Mortal Kombat character in every game and every Mortal Kombat movie.
I hardly disagree with that. The best character in the Mortal Kombat movie from the mid-90s was Johnny Cage. For one simple reason. Those were $500 sunglasses, asshole.
Yeah.
I remember when I thought, how could sunglasses cost that much? And, these days, oh boy, that's cheap.
Well, I mean, I get mine from Dollar Tree, so I wouldn't know. But that's because I
Well, ever
pick them all the time.
since you introduced me to Orange Cassidy, I got into Ray-Ban aviators, so,
Sorry about that. So here we have a great. I find this to be a great cutscene. I actually like these kind of cutscenes where you're making a stand against impossible odds. But then at the same time,
it's not even a stand. This is a well-ordered withdrawal.
that also being said, these kind of in this game, these kind of make me laugh and make me giggle because I'm like, if they wanted to, they could say you have to fight these guys off, and we would. Like, and all this would be a target-rich environment. Speaking of which, there is definitely something. There is definitely a quality.
What the hell is that guy thinking? Oh shit, I'm being shot at. I know, I'll fire my jump jets and make myself an even easier target.
There is definitely a quality to quantity when it comes to bullets.
bunker team.
And the guy who jumped definitely found it.
Yeah, no.
Coming in.
Because he just took all of the bullet.
When rapid fire firearms are firing at you, firing your jump jets is about as useful as turning into a snake.
Yeah. Actually, turning into a snake would be ideal because you hit the ground low.
In that situation, turning into a snake in other situations is not so
We're in.
useful.
Lock it down.
There's a bit of a I don't want not dimorphism, duality with
Aria, I know this place is
between
more like a
Nyreen
fortress,
and
but is it safe
Aria
now that
too,
the general's
because Nyreen is clearly the paragon of the couple,
Yes.
and she's dressed in all black.
feel like
Yes.
sitting in
Meanwhile,
dark alley.
Aria, who is very much renegade, it's why I love her, that
Yeah.
Carrie Ann Mouse.
Well, I mean,
her signature color is arguably that white jacket.
Indeed.
Wasn't aware you'd
Indeed.
You know,
It's-
even though she's wearing
Explain
the
yourself.
black undersuit with
is I
the
never left.
glorious
In fact, I went to
glorious
Grace's
side and
house to keep
underboob
Well, I
I'm
mean,
not
because
easily
Carrie Ann
duped.
Moss.
well,
Hold on.
and
But why?
yeah.
just
What more do you have
leave.
to say, really?
Considering
I mean,
all
it's
this,
it's
I wish I
obviously
had.
why
Always said I'd be the
Noreen
death of you.
decided to go with
Irene has
Aria. I mean,
military
that
training.
that
Put her to good
underboob.
use.
I mean,
But yeah,
You're so quick
my
to
whole
trust,
point is
Tasha.
that we associate
Nadine
white
never
with
approved
purity,
of
with
romance
being
movies,
the
did you?
the hero
Well,
of the story.
we've
That's
had-
why we have
yeah.
white hat cowboys.
well, we've
Are you
had
willing to
generation
help
of
defend them?
anti-black
You'll find me very willing
stories
to
telling that
liberate
black is
this
bad
nation.
and all of this
Your
kind of stuff.
combat
So
skills
you know,
seem a
it
little
is
rusty, but you're still
it's
a
part
good
of our
shot.
culture really to look
See
at
my
black
duty,
as being
officer.
the bad guys and white as being the good guys.
Oh, there's a certain
Right.
amount of
Keep an eye on her.
even taking it away from race. There's a certain amount of like when you wear black clothing,
All
it's
right, Shepard,
easier
we
to
need to move
conceal
fast. I'm
things.
itching.
Well,
Revenge.
it's I'm not even. I'm just saying that there has been a concerted
think I'm gonna
effort
let you
within
carve a bloody
our
path through this
culture,
campaign, you're sadly
stories and video
mistaken.
games and movies and
think
that sort
you're
of
going to
thing,
change
to
your
show the
mind,
color black as
You're
being
welcome to try.
the bad guy, and the
Once up
color
and
white
running,
as
this
being
bunker will
the good
provide
guy.
recon and secret access to much of the
You know, the
station.
ultimate bad guy, Darth Vader.
Yeah,
I'd appreciate it if you would.
And
take an eyeball operation,
but
see that
also
things
the
are
best
setting up
voiced bad
smoothly.
guy
oh yeah.
by far.
What will you be doing?
Although you know,
And now we finally have
Checking
the
in on my forces.
have to face the reality
I
of
need
what
to know how many
happens when
survived the
James Earl
assault
Jones
before I can
dies.
plan the attack.
I would not like to.
Well, we're
It
there
won't
now.
take long.
Yes, but I've
Join
been
me at
denying
command
it.
console.
But here we have, you know, and I liked Carrie Ann Moss as an actress, right? Like her as an actor. I never thought about her voice, right? Until this, and I heard her voice, and I was like, you know, she's got a good voice, which I had never really, because I always viewed her as the whole package, and I never kind of viewed her isolated with the voice.
There's a certain amount of first off, she is definitely suppressing her British accent.
No,
Like the only time she's straining almost as hard as she did during The Matrix. If you ask me.
What's the trouble here?
But she did present, but it worked with Arya because, you're talking about a woman who's like, she has lived a life of violence and where she has not been on the razor's edge. She's been shoving that razor's edge into other people.
yeah. I do like a life of violence.
But now it's,
What is it?
she is well aware of how precarious her position in life is at all times.
So the reason that I say that this DLC is very straightforward is because you pick up all of these side quests and you solve pretty much every single side quest
Between A and B.
between A and B. You don't have to go off to C to solve the side quest. You don't have to go off to D. There's no like open world kind of, even though Mass Effect is made to feel like it might be, it's not.
Well, but we'll see some examples of that. We got 2 side quests that we got to do in the next mission, which we are gearing up for, and we will see that all next time. So until then,
Deuces!
see you later, kids.